Welcome back to the structure of atom chapter. In the previous video we have seen the discovery of the electrons by J.J. Thomson. Now let us go for discovery of protons. Discovery of protons. These protons were discovered by Goldstein. He used the similar instrument, that is discharge tube, and only one change he made was, instead of using the solid cathode, he used the perforated cathode. So let us consider this discovery of the protons by Goldstein. So this is the discharge tube. This is, as usual, anode, and this is cathode. Instead of solid cathode, he used the perforated cathode. So this is perforated cathode. Then, as usual, it is connected to some vacuum pump. Okay, vacuum pump. Then this anode and cathode, they are connected to a battery of high voltage source. Okay, this is battery. Again, a gas is filled in this discharge tube, and he observed that when we observe the movement of the particles, when we observe the when the high voltage is applied, same as 10,000 volt, then that Goldstein observed that some radiations are passing through this perforated cathode, and they actually intensify or illuminate this discharge tube coated with the zinc sulfide screen. So this actually glows. This is actually having a red glow. That means when we observe the movement of the particles from cathode to anode, it is actually cathode ray. But when the same experiment was carried out by using the perforated cathode, some radiations are also observed to move in the reverse direction. They are actually emitted from this anode, that is carrying the positive charge, and this cathode carries the negative charge. And these rays that are actually emitted from this anode, they are called as the anode rays. Anode rays. Since they pass through these small pores, perforations, they are also named as the canal rays. Okay. Since they move in the opposite direction, these carry the positive charges. Same as in case of the cathode rays, they also move in the straight line. As in case of the cathode rays, they also rotate the paddle wheel placed in the path of that movement. Then we observe that they move in the opposite direction, indicating that they carry the positive charges, because they are moving from positive electrode to the negative electrode. But one important change that we have to remember is the E by M ratio, that is charge to mass ratio. It is the same for the cathode rays in case of electrons, that is cathode rays. But in case of the anode rays, this E by M ratio varies from one gas to the other gas. One gas to the other gas. That is, suppose I take this hydrogen. This E by M ratio will be maximum, because mass of one particular particle carrying the 1 unit positive charge, it is having very low value. But as the gas is changed, say for example, in place of the hydrogen gas I am using helium gas. In place of the helium I am using oxygen, nitrogen, etc. Then the masses become larger and larger, and hence this E by M ratio will be decreasing. That is, the important difference between the canal rays or anode rays and cathode rays is E by M ratio varies from one gas to the other gas. So they carry the positive charges. They also move in the straight line. They also rotate the paddle wheel placed in their path, indicating that they are also carrying the particles. And ray that is containing or that is produced by using the hydrogen gas consists of one unit positive charge. That's why it is named as the proton. Okay. So this is the discovery of the proton by the Goldstein. The next one is discovery of neutron. This neutron was discovered by Chadwick. Remember, before the discovery of the neutron by the Chadwick, the Thomson proposed one model. That means when the Thomson proposed the model for the structure of an atom, I will come to that afterwards. When we go for the structure of the atom proposed by the Thomson, neutrons were not discovered. If you go in the history of the discovery, this is done in the 1911. These protons were discovered in the year 1911, while electrons were discovered in the year 1897. 1897. While the discovery of the neutron took place in the very late years. So this Chadwick was carrying out some experiment with the radioactive reactions, artificial radioactivity. He took the radioactive beryllium or beryllium atom. The beryllium atom is having the atomic number and atomic mass that is indicated with this 4 and 9. Atomic mass of the beryllium is 9 and while atomic number is 4. When this is bombarded with the helium nucleus or helium particle, that is called as the alpha particle, then we observe that it will produce 0, n and 1. This does not carry any charge but carries the unit mass almost closer to that proton. Since there is no charge produced or possessed by this particle, it is called as the neutron. The other element that we have in case of this one is the carbon with 6 and 12. Atomic number 6 and mass number 12. So this is actually called as the balancing of the radioactive reactions. Once we know the fundamental particle that is produced, the remaining element can be very easily balanced. So during this process of artificial radioactivity, by bombarding these alpha particles with the lighter nuclei like beryllium, then we observe that the neutrons are produced. So once the discovery of the electron, discovery of the proton and discovery of the neutron are studied, then we have to go for the structure of the atom proposed by different persons. We study first Thomson's model. Thomson's model or Thomson's theory, we can say. So he proposed the structure of the atom by considering one model that is actually called as the plum pudding model. Plum pudding model. It is also called as the watermelon model. Remember, during the time of this Thomson's theory, neutrons were not discovered. Only protons and electrons were available. So he considered that the whole mass of the atom is made up of the protons. Assume that this is the atom. This is carrying the positive charge throughout. Here and there, just to neutralize the charge on the atom, the electrons are distributed. So this is the model proposed by the Thomson, that is called as the watermelon or plum pudding model. You remember that this whole mass carrying the red color of watermelon, it is carrying the positive charges. The black seeds that are present in the watermelon are considered as the electrons. So electrons are distributed here and there to neutralize the charge on the atom because of the positively charged protons. So this is the model proposed by the Thomson. But this has certain limitations. When we consider this negatively charged particle around the positive charged particle, automatically there will be attraction. So this positively charged neutrons and positively charged protons and negatively charged electrons, when they are coming nearer to one another or placed nearer to one another, automatically there will be attraction between these particles. When there is an attraction, automatically it does not give the stability of the atom. That's why this Thomson's model or Thomson's theory does not explain the stability of the atom. That's why by considering these limitations, we have to go for the other theory, that is actually Rutherford's model. But before going for the Rutherford's model, again he carried out one experiment. That is called as the alpha ray scattering experiment. That we shall take up in the next video. Thank you.